What's happening, everyone? Michael Olivas here. I asked my future scheduled guests to adapt their advice and responses to current times. This is a COVID-19 special edition where I will ask entrepreneurs how this current epidemic is affecting their business and life and what their advice is for you. I get it, Life Nation. I'm not just a podcast host. I'm an entrepreneur, just like you. My companies are having to pivot and innovate just to stay afloat, and I'm hearing it from guests and colleagues alike. Stay motivated, refocus, and trust me that those companies and individuals who truly strategize to get through this will flourish when it inevitably comes to an end.
You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Let's get cranking business and life. Today, we're chatting with Heather Chauvin. Heather is a parenting and women's leadership coach who helps women understand themselves and their child's behavior on a deeper level. She is the host of the Mom is in Control podcast, where she reveals her most vulnerable truths about womanhood, marriage, parenting, living through stage 4 cancer, and running a successful business without burning out. All right, Heather, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell our listeners something interesting about yourself and also where you're calling in from today.
So I am from the quarantine of my basement with my children in the other room in Canada, in Ontario.
Nice.
Right near Michigan. Yeah.
Give us a little bit something interesting about Heather.
Oh my gosh. Interesting about me. Well, I am a Jane of all trades, but I come from the social work industry. Absolutely love helping people and really creating alignment in my life. So I am all about helping women show up differently than what we've been taught to.
Awesome. Well, tell us the name of the business and also what it does, I guess, for consumers.
Yeah. So the business is Mom is in Control, and it is all about helping women redesign, kind of reverse engineer their lives in alignment with how they want to feel. So typically what we do is we're very reactionary. You're taking action from a place of fear or guilt. And I because of my background, actually 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 cancer, and I was the typical hustler, and I was go, raising my boys. And then I decided this is not how I want to be remembered. And they definitely I need to be here. So I had to figure out how to feel alive while I was going after what I desired in my life.
Who's like a specific clientele that you've really been able to help?
The ambitious women. So the women who are really the dreamers, the go-getters, the action takers, and really helping them understand that we can take the action, we can be the mom, the partners that we want to be, but there's a lot of inner work that we need to be able to create that alignment on the outside so that that energy is sustainable.
I really love the reverse engineering of the feeling aspect. I took that to heart maybe after my first Tony Robbins conference years and years ago. And I think what really resonated there that makes obviously sense on specifically focusing on the feeling is that, like you mentioned, people generally chase a feeling, not a dollar amount, right? And being able to back into that, I think, is so powerful. And starting to be, I help my clients as well, more on the business side, but also that feeling aspect, still kind of like what makes you feel good within the business when X happens, and let's reverse engineer that. And I think if you're listening, just trying to be conscious of your feelings is kind of a tough thing for guys to do. I know it's awesome. I think that for personally, because I've worked with a lot of the guys in the CEO world, and it's just sometimes it's challenging for them. Why did you decide to help specifically women? Is it because you had that experience yourself?
Well, before I kind of shifted gears, so kind of pre and post diagnosis, pre-diagnosis, I was talking a lot about parenting. And so it was mainly women that I was talking to. And then, they're like, I can't implement this because I don't have the time, or I don't have the energy, or I can't focus. And so it's really getting to the root of the problem. But there was something that you said, Mike, that really resonated with me. And I know men and women are very different, but I've seen this with my husband as well.
Sure.
As I'm becoming this different person, it's kind of spilling over onto him, and it's a different lifestyle and a way of being. And we're all after that feeling, right? You want more money because you think it's going to give you more freedom, or you want on that vacation because you think you're going to have this space. But what if you actually create it like now in the moment? Like, what would your day look like if it was spacious? And it doesn't mean you need to slow down on your goals or you can't build that empire that you really want to. It's about delegation and, watching those beliefs of, I need to do it on my own, or nobody else, will be able to do it with me. And I notice for a lot of women, and the reason why I've focused on that is because we're nurturers, right? We want to deliver, we want to overgive, but really there has to be an equal exchange of energy as well. You can't just give. You have to be able to receive.
Absolutely. I think your message rocks, by the way, Heather. So thank you for obviously opening up the minds of many women out there that know it can be done and helping them actually get it done, obviously from many levels. Given our current situation, I know with COVID-19 and we're going through a lot of, entrepreneurs are being affected. Businesses are shutting down worldwide, obviously. Has this affected your business at all? And if so, how?
It has. I've watched people be very more hesitant to step into who they wanted to be. But with the, my current business model and my clients, they're like, I am so incredibly grateful that I have implemented and found you when I did, because I'm watching myself calm in the chaos when everybody else is, losing their minds. And I'm also noticing it's like the people on the outside, when you haven't made that commitment. And when I say the outside, I mean, when you really haven't committed to who you want to be or how you want to feel in your life, you will find every excuse on the planet not to follow through with something. And I'm noticing that a lot with people right now when I'm podcasting and I was running this challenge. And I'm like, guys, I'm just calling everyone else on their BS because we don't have time for this, right? Like, why are you here? You want change. So I'm also seeing people like wake up. Like this is kind of their, I had my cancer moment. Everyone has had their dark night of the soul. Well, not everybody, but hopefully this is a kick in the pants. Like whatever it is that is triggering you, or you're like, this is not sustainable in your life. That's an opportunity for growth. And that might just be, spending more time with your children and it's driving you insane and you don't know how to manage it. You can't outsource that right now.
No, absolutely. You're right. I think that the level of understanding what time, I think people are going to be a lot more conscious of what time is. And that's good, such a good thing in terms of trying to learn what kind of opportunities are coming from these obstacles. And that's the goal of our special COVID-19 questions that I've been kind of throwing out there with all of our guests, really, since this has all happened, and pushing all of these recordings to the front of the line, because it's important to kind of stay relevant, but also hopefully give some more positive feedback versus all of the flattening of the curve crap that you're seeing every day anyways, right? And so it's just like, okay, we get it, right? We're trying to flatten the curve. We get it. We're staying home. We understand, but it's generally the same message. And unfortunately, it's so addicting, unfortunately, and people are going to be really stuck to that. So we're really trying to, and thank you for your help with this, to try to remind people that it's such a great opportunity to start really redefining or rebuilding yourself in so many different ways, and hopefully realizing that there's an app called YouTube that has so much of this stuff. And so we could if people could be watching some really good stuff or just the addicting negative stuff out there. But, have you had to make any decisions or any hard decisions yourself within your own organization because of all this?
Yeah, there's definitely, some of our live events we've had to put on hold or to postpone it. And, you get disappointed or things suck, but I'm like, the bigger picture, I actually feel I get really motivated during these times because I just I never want to become a statistic, right? I'm like, it's not proving to anybody else. I'm like, I just want to prove to people that change is possible in difficult times. Like you may think, oh my gosh, I could just stop, or this is time to rest, or whatever story you subscribe to, but realize everything is temporary anyways. And now we're just being shown that. But there was something that you mentioned, Mike, about time, and it brought up this concept, and I don't think I took it from anyone. It's called the $1 Million Minute. I don't know if you've heard about this, but the $1 Million Minute, like the way that I see it is if every minute of your life was worth $1 million and you budgeted your time differently, would you spend your time differently? So every 60 seconds, Is it worth 20 minutes of your time to be scrolling and absorbing all that information? People say, Heather, I don't have time to do XYZ. And I'm like, then stop typing this message and go do 100 jumping jacks. Like you have time, you're just choosing not to. So
100%.
yeah, there's definitely been uncomfortable decisions that we've had to make and production times for, book publishing and stuff like that. But it's a lot, it could be way worse. It's an opportunity. It's a privilege.
What's happening, Life Nation? Michael Levis here. This is a time to do the right thing, not the profitable thing. I'm giving away COVID-19 business strategy sessions for free. I promise to give you my honest advice and coach you on a strategy that I feel would be best for the longevity of your business. I'm not asking you for your money, but in the interest of being able to help as many people as I can, I am asking you to be ready with your 1 to 2 specific questions so we can jump right into it. Go to michaellevis.com/coaching and simply schedule a call on my calendar. That's MIKEOLIVAS.com/coaching. Yeah, it is. I sometimes been talking about perspective. I was just on a Zoom call with all of my high school friends that were on the student body with me. And we were just all chatting about some of the perspective aspect of like, listen, your grandpa's perspective in terms of when it was crazy epidemic time or kind of anything relevant to epidemic was worried about, he's about to get drafted to World War II, right? Mm-hmm. And we're asked to sit on our couches or stay indoors. And so, we understand it's not something that we want, but from put it in perspective of like what people have had to go through when war obviously also created an economic impact and downfall and all that, the Great Depression. And so, yes, it's challenging, but we're so lucky to be able to have a couch and a roof over our heads for those people that have that and be able to have the time to make a difference and or a change and or learn how to work things out with, families, and internally within the house. So I think there's a lot to be said about the perspective aspect of it. What advice would you give to current entrepreneurs out there, business owners who are shutting the doors or having to come close to shutting those doors, losing employees, et cetera?
Mm-hmm. So I know it has been, and I've had a lot of my clients as well have to have, make difficult decisions within their companies. And one, I'm such a fan, like you got to do the personal work. So whatever you're feeling, give yourself a little bit of space. I know we have to process very, very quickly right now, but give yourself some time and space to process what is coming up for you, right? Whether that's early in the morning, before you go to bed, whether you journal, work out, do whatever you need to do, create that space for yourself. It's so essential as a leader right now. And just be a service to your clientele, your customers, your community. Like check in on people. Right now, you don't have to necessarily have the perfect, beautiful funnels and all of that stuff. A quick text message, a phone call, whether that is, your team, your employees, or direct customer relations, whatever that looks like for you. And give as much value as you possibly can. I mean, it comes right down to, this is silly, but this is a woman's issue. I used to get eyelash extensions, and I say used to, I have none left. I have one eyelash left. And she waited about 3 weeks, and then she sent me a message and she's like, hey, I have this eyelash serum. It's $70. Do you want it? And I said, I'm going to buy it just because you're a good saleswoman. And I said, you are still solving my problem. The whole point of the story is you're still solving my problem, but in a different way, right? Yeah. So just even though you may have been taught or done something traditionally, go right to your customer and say, how can I serve you over Zoom? How can I do this differently? And I have watched so many businesses flourish and go, you know what, this is exactly what I needed to be able to course correct. I've been thinking about something for a long time, and it's been the kick in the pants to do so.
That's a really good, just overall, it's just great advice for pivoting, right? We've been talking about pivoting a lot on the show. If you're an avid listener to the show, which thank you for being so, but if realizing that we're taking a lot of pivots and learning what we can do, we're sacrificing our immediate results for long-term results. And I think that's what we need to be doing. I think from a business perspective now, and I use the analogy of like PPC ads, pay-per-clicks, and Facebook ads, out. Don't do that right now. SEO, long-term content, yes, all day. Like that makes sense. That's going to be there later. What can you do to move the needle now that's going to put you in an awesome position later? And just line down the piece of paper in front of you guys right now and just ask yourself, what can I do now that's going to be in a great position later. And you're going to be eons ahead of your competition for doing that. And I think that's something I think a lot of people are or they're just giving into the sadly of the fear and just saying, screw it, I'm going to close my doors because everybody else is. And I'm going to wait and hope that Uncle Sam will bail me out at some point. And we don't know when that's going to be. And we all know that's going to likely be a long time, longer than shorter for sure. And it's just the way it is. When you have literally millions of companies trying to get money, when there's still a beating heart behind that application, making sure there's still some risk analysis there. Like, yes, it's going to take time. And so unfortunately we all, Americans, at least, I think Canadians are going to be a lot more patient. Us Americans are going to be way more impatient, being like, we want it now. What happened? I just applied. Why isn't it in my bank account? It's like,
oh yeah, we're getting that too. And when you were saying this, I said, I was thinking about find a friend or an influencer online who has a positive attitude about this. Obviously, this podcast is a very good example of that. And fill your mind with that, because when you can open yourself to possibility and curiosity, and not even like, oh, it's opportunity to rest and to do this, great. But if you're going crazy after a few weeks, then figure it out, because it's such a beautiful breeding ground for creativity. And so many people forget that, because it could be one person and they just latch on to that story and they run with it. And I actually just don't even enter those conversations anymore. The second I feel it, I'm like, no, I'm leaving.
I'm out. Yeah, that's good. And I think it's good just being able to be that conscious, like you are, Heather, in terms of hopefully people will take that as just biblical. Like if you start seeing something go to the dark route of the curve or where it's going, I mean, you can't control that. What you can control of what your channel button might have on your finger, right? Yeah. Change it and change the channel, change the mindset, be positive. And again, being creative, I think you're absolutely right. And productivity is what people generally will associate to happiness. Like I can feel good by being productive. Well, right now it's like, how can I be productive? I lost my job or whatever it might be. Well, you can only clean so much, right? You can only cook so much and do the dishes so much. At some point it's like, okay, what can I do to start watching things that are positive and moving myself into the right state of mind or mind frame, if you will, because the mindset right now of the buyers are just different. So like you said, how can I realize that my clients or my customers might not be buying, but how else can I help them? And that's really good advice, I think. And just mainly asking, what else can I do to serve you? Like you just said, I think that's a great way of simply opening up the conversation. It might not be about my XYZ service or product, but how are you doing? What else can I do to help you? And just keeping those conversations and relationships alive, I think are some of the most important things that we could all do right now, looking to the future, which we hope is coming very soon. And it's opening the doors for the economy. In terms of our listeners here, where can they find you? Where can they get more information about you? Before I ask a final question.
Yeah, so I'm mainly hanging out on my podcast. I actually just launched a second one. So it's Mom is in Control, like mom, no S. Mom is in Control. And then there's Mom is in Control Business. So on the business one, I'm having conversations about female leadership, business, all of that fun stuff. And then on Mom is in Control, I talk a lot about keeping our stuff in order. I was going to say the S word, but I'm like keeping our stuff in order, where we are cool and collected. Yeah. Keeping your shit in order. I always throw F-bombs out there.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's where you can find me mainly.
Long as it gets the point across, right? Then I'm all about it.
A good one perfectly placed in a sentence can really hit home. It
really just adds an explanation point and emphasis. I'm with you. I like it. So is it Mamas, MOMMAS?
Mom, MOM.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So say the websites one more time for everybody.
Mom is in Control.
Awesome. And out of all your successes and failures in business and in life, of course, what is the one piece of parting advice that you'd give to the entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs listening today?
Failure only happens when you stop trying.
I love that.
You will fall. You will fall. To me, the definition of failure is when you stop trying, but it will not be perfect.
I saw a quote like that so long ago and it's stuck in my head. It's just, a failure. You've only failed if you failed to try, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so awesome. And it resonates, especially right now. Heather, thank you so much for your time and dropping some knowledge balls with it today.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.